Hello, my friends, welcome back. In English, there is an old word for the devil. It is Old Nick. Most people do not know where this word comes from. It comes from one man's name, Niccolò. This is his story. His full name was Niccolò Machiavelli. Shakespeare used his name as an insult 3 times in 3 different plays. One famous thinker even called him the philosopher of gangsters. But 500 years after he died, his books are still read in every big university in the world. Kings and presidents still study him today. Machiavelli was born in Florence, Italy, in the year 1469. Italy was not one country back then. It was many small city-states. They fought with each other all the time. The Pope wanted power. Kings from France and Spain wanted power too. It was a dangerous, unstable world. And in this world, a smart and curious young man was growing up. When Machiavelli became an adult, he did not just read about power, he worked with real power. For 14 years, he had an important government job in Florence. He helped plan the city's foreign policy. He met the King of France not once, 10 times. He met the Holy Roman Emperor. He talked with the Pope. He was not a man sitting far away just guessing about power. He saw it up close every single day. Then, in 1512, his whole world fell apart. A powerful family called the Medici took control of Florence again. The government Machiavelli worked for was gone. People accused him of planning against the new rulers. They arrested him. They tortured him. The torture was terrible. They tied his arms behind his back. They lifted him up. Then they dropped him toward the floor again and again. This happened 6 times. His shoulders were almost pulled apart. But he never confessed. He had nothing to confess. Finally, they let him go. But he could not work in government anymore. He had to leave the city he loved. He was alone. He had no money. And in that lonely time, he sat down and wrote 2 books. These 2 books would become more famous than any king he had ever met. The first book is called The Prince. It is short, only about 90 pages. This is the book that ruined his name forever. In 4 chapters of this book, he gave very harsh advice. He wrote that a leader does not always need to keep his promises. He wrote that sometimes a leader must learn how to not be good. But here is something most people never learn. In this whole book, Machiavelli almost never used the word power. What he really cared about was different. He cared about glory. The kind of glory that Rome once had over the whole world. And this book was not written for every king in history. It was written for one specific kind of leader, a new prince, someone trying to build a brand new state in the middle of total chaos. He was not saying cruelty is good. He was saying that building order out of chaos is never a clean, gentle process, and pretending otherwise is a lie. To prove his point, he used examples from history. Romulus, who killed his own brother to build Rome so there would only be one leader, not 2. Cesare Borgia, a ruthless leader who brought peace to 6 cities through pure control. Machiavelli did not invent cruelty. He simply refused to hide the cruelty that was already there, underneath every great story about how nations begin. His second book is called The Discourses. It is 4 times longer than The Prince. Almost nobody reads it. But this is where his real, true legacy is hiding. In this book, he wrote something no philosopher before him had the courage to write. He said, all power comes from the people, not the king, not the church, the people. This was many years before John Locke, Many years before the American Revolution or the French Revolution, Machiavelli already wrote these words first. If there is a true father of modern democracy, maybe it is not the man that history usually credits. Maybe it is him. He broke almost every old belief. The ancient Greeks believed democracy meant rule by fools. The Romans trusted a mix of kings, nobles, and citizens, but never the crowd alone. The medieval church believed kings ruled because God chose them. Machiavelli said no to all of this. He said the opinion of many ordinary people is usually wiser than the opinion of one single man. He even said that tension between rich people and poor people is not a problem in a good government. It is actually a healthy thing. It keeps everyone honest. He also disagreed with Plato's old idea that a perfect society needs no laws at all, because good people don't need rules. Machiavelli said the opposite. He said, when you write laws, always assume that people are bad. Assume they will try to break the rules the moment nobody is watching, because eventually someone will. He did something else that almost nobody had done before. He described the world exactly as it really was, not as it should be, in some perfect, imaginary version. He gave this idea a special name, the effective truth, not Plato's imaginary republic that never existed anywhere, the real world, messy and difficult, right in front of you. Many historians believe this one idea, describing facts instead of fantasy, helped start modern science itself. He also turned strongly against the church. In The Prince, he never used the words hell, soul, miracle, or Christianity. He simply called it our present religion, as if to remind everyone that religions are made by humans, and they rise and fall like everything else made by humans. He believed the old pagan values from before Christianity made people brave and proud. He believed Christianity made people too soft, too gentle, too focused on the next life instead of this one. Because of this, the church hated him deeply. When the church made its first list of forbidden books, his name came before Martin Luther's name. He was not a perfect man, and history never pretended he was. He wrote very open, very embarrassing letters to his best friend, admitting things without any shame at all. But here is something important. For 14 years, he held real power in Florence, and not one single enemy, and he had many enemies, ever accused him of stealing money. He once wrote, half joking, that his own poverty was proof that he never stole a thing. He was also a poet and a playwright. He wrote a funny, uncomfortable play called Mandragola. It is about a husband, a wife, a priest, and a stranger, all of them pretending to be good people, while secretly chasing exactly what they want. It feels almost like practice for everything he later argued in his political books. People rarely are what they claim to be, and the ones who admit this honestly are better than the ones who pretend. By the time he died in 1527, poor and mostly forgotten, he could not have known what was coming next. Stalin kept his book close by. Mussolini called it his favorite book. For centuries, kings and dictators and presidents secretly read him and borrowed his ideas without ever saying his name out loud. Even Karl Marx, 300 years later, repeated an idea Machiavelli had already written, that philosophers only explain the world. The real goal is to change it. He gave the modern world strange and powerful gifts. The idea that power belongs to the people, not the crown. The idea that history, not abstract philosophy, teaches us how nations truly rise and fall. The idea that facts matter more than comfortable lies. Some historians even say he planted an early seed of capitalism itself. He believed that wanting to build wealth was simply natural, not something shameful. 500 years later, his name is still unfairly another word for cruelty. But if you remove the 4 harsh chapters that everyone quotes and read the rest, you find something much stranger and much more important. One of the first men in the Western world brave enough to say, "The world is not what our old stories promised, and the truth, even when it is uncomfortable, matters more than the myth." He once wrote, "I love my country more than my own soul." Maybe that is the simplest way to understand him. Not a monster, not a saint, just a man who refused to look away from how power really works. And he paid for that honesty with his good name for 500 years and counting.